Good morning everyone. Basa tayo ng Bible, NIV. Leviticus chapter 25 and Mark chapter 1 verse 23 to 45. Basa. The Sabbath year. The Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land I am going to give you, the land itself must observe a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years sow your fields, and for 6 years prune your vineyards, and gather their crops. But in the 7th year the land is to have a Sabbath of rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. Do not sow your fields, or prune your vineyards. Do not reap what grows of itself, or harvest the grapes of your untended vines. The land is to have a year of rest. Whatever the land yields during the Sabbath year will be food for you, for yourself, your manservant and maidservant, and the hard worker and temporary resident who live among you, as well as for your livestock and the wild animals in your land. Whatever the land produces may be eaten. The year of Jubilee. Count of 7 Sabbaths of years, 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 Sabbaths of years amount to a period of 49 years. Oh, 7 times 7, 49. Seven times 7, 49. Then have the trumpet sounded. Every on the 10th day of the 7th month, on the day of atonement, sound the trumpet throughout your land. Consecrate the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each one of you is to return to his family, property, and each to his own clan. The 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. Do not sow and do not reap what grows of itself, or harvest the untended vines. For it is a jubilee, and is to be holy for you. Eat only what is taken directly from the fields. In this year of jubilee, everyone is returned to his own property. Ba't parang ang labo? Hindi ko makita. Verse 14. If you sell land to one of your countrymen, or buy any from him, do not take advantage of each other. You also buy from your countryman on the basis of the number of years since the Jubilee, and he is to sell to you on the basis of the number of years left for harvesting crops. When the years are many, you are to increase the price, and when the years are few, you are to decrease the price, because what he is really selling you is the number of crops. Yan pala ang gising natin, guys. Pero nakaumpisa na tayo. Sa totoong pag hindi tayo nagbabasa. Pag hindi tayo nagbabasa, yan palang talaga ang gising natin. Kaso, nagbasan tayo, kaya paspas na para magtrabaho. Ay ba, paspas, bilis na. Binisaya ko na naman kayo. Sana tayo. Verse 17. Do not take advantage of each other, but for your God. I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to obey my laws, and you will live safely in the land. Then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live there in safety. You may ask, what will we eat in the 7th year, if we do not plant or harvest our crops? I will send you such a blessing in the 6th year, that the land will yield enough for 3 years. While you plant during the 8th year, you will eat from the old crop, and will continue to eat from it until the harvest of the 9th year comes in. So, ibig niyan sabihin dito, pagdating ng 7th year kasi ipahinga yung field, huwag na magtanim. Tatanungin ng mga tao kung anong kakainin nila kung hindi magtanim. Sabi dito sa Bible, yung pagtatanim nyo ng yung aanihin nyo ng 6 year, masyadong marami yun, niya ng enough for 3 years na yun. So, ibig sabihin, mag-ipon kayo doon sa inanin nyo. Para pagdating ng 7th year, kahit hindi magtanim, okay lang. Same as apply natin sa pag-iipon natin, guys. Mag-ipon tayo. Kung marami tayong kasi hindi naman sa lahat ng bagay is angat tayo sa buhay. So, pag dumating yung cycle na medyo down ka, may madudukot kang pera. Ganun lang. The land must not be sold permanent because the land is mine. Allah. And you are but aliens and my tenants. Throughout the country that you hold as a possession, you must provide for the redemption of the land. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells some of his property, his nearest relatives is to come and redeem. So, yung pinaka-malapit na kamag-anak ang bibili, guys. What his countryman has sold, if however a man has no one to redeem if it for him, but he himself prospers and acquires sufficient means to redeem it, he is to determine the value of the years for the years since he sold it and refine the balance to demand to whom he sold it. Pero sometimes, guys, kahit malapit na kamag-anak pa yan, kung sasamantalahin naman yung pagiging mo, huwag mo na sanang ibenta. Ganun lang siya. He can then go back to his own property. Hindi, reaction ko lang yun ba? But if he does not acquire the means to repay him, what he sold will remain in the possession of the buyer until the year of Jubilee. It will be returned in the Jubilee, and he can then go back to his property. If a man sells a house in a walled city, he retains the right of redemption a full year after its sale. During the time, he may redeem it. If it is not redeemed before a full year has passed, the house in the walled city shall belong permanently to the buyer and his descendants. It is not to be returned in the Jubilee, but houses in villages without walls around them are to be considered as open country. Then can be redeemed, and they are to be returned in the Jubilee. The Levites always have, ito yung ni Levi, yung sa tribe, Levi. The Levites always have the right to redeem their houses in the Levitical towns which they possess. So the property of the Levites is redeemable, that is, a house sold in any town they hold, and is to be returned in the Jubilee because the houses in the towns. Pambihira, isang chapter lang siya pero parang ang haba naman. Napagod. Sa verse 33. So the property of the Levites is redeemable, that is, a house sold in any town that the hold, as is to be returned in the Jubilee, because the houses in the towns of the Levites are their property among the Israelites. But the pasture and belonging to their towns must not be sold. It is their permanent possession. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and is unable to support himself among you, help him as you would an alien or a temporary resident. He can continue to live among you. Pero ang natandaan ko yung malapit ba yun sa hindi siya pwedeng ibenta. Ano ba yung ano ba yung chapter, guys? Yung sa mga una natin pagbasa, di ba nagkaroon ng nilagay yung malapit sa tabernacle ba yun? Yung surround noon kasi merong mga kanya-kanyang assign yun, kung kanino mapupunta. Tapos mayroong isang portion doon na hindi talaga pwede ibenta. Sa priest yata yun. Yun. Naisip ko lang. Inamuna tayo. Sarap pagka mainit. Sana ba tayo? Balikan natin yung 32, guys. Nawala ako eh. The Levites always have the right to redeem their houses in the Levitical towns which they possess. So the property of the Levites is redeemable, that is, a house sold in any town they hold, and is to be returned in the Jubilee, because the houses in the towns of the Levites are their property among the Israelites. But the pasture land belonging to their towns must not be sold. It is their permanent possession. If one of your countrymen, yun nga yata yun, ito yata yung hindi pwedeng ibenta talaga. If one of your countrymen, sa verse 34, guys, but the pasture land belonging to their towns must not be sold. It is their permanent possession. If one of your countrymen becomes poor and is unable to support himself among you, help him as you would an alien or a temporary resident, so he can continue to live among you. Do not take interest of any kind from him, but fear your God, so that your countrymen may continue to live among you. You must not lend him money at interest or sell him food at a profit. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan. Land of Canaan pala yun. And to be your God. If one of your countrymen becomes poor among you and sells himself to you, do not make him work as a slave. He is to be treated as a hard worker or temporary resident among you. He is to work for you until the year of Jubilee. Then he and his children are to be released, and he will go back to his own clan and to the property of his forefathers. Because the Israelites are my servants whom I brought out of Egypt, they must not be sold as slaves. Do not rule over them ruthlessly, but fear your God. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can Nasaan na tayo? You can will them to your children as inherited property. You can will them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. If an alien or a property resident among you becomes rich and one of your countrymen becomes poor and sells himself to the alien living among you, or to a member of the alien's clan, he retains the right of redemption after he has sold himself. One of his relatives may redeem him. An uncle or a cousin, any blood relative in his clan may redeem him. Or, if he prospers, he may redeem himself. He and his buyer are to count the time from the year he sold himself up to the year of Jubilee. The price of his release is to be based on the rate paid to a hired man for the number of years. If many years remain, he must pay for his redemption a larger share of the price paid for him. If only a few years, if only a few years, hindi kasi nahirapan, parang ang labo-labo. If only a few years remain until the year of Jubilee, he is to compute that and pay for his redemption accordingly. He is to be treated as a man hired from year to year. You must see to it that his owner does not rule over him ruthlessly. Even if he is not redeemed in any of these ways, he and his children are to be released in the year of Jubilee. For the Israelites belong to me as servants. They are my servants whom I brought out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Sa chapter 26 bukas na ito, guys. Tapos na. Sa Mark na tayo. Wala ko ganong naintindihan doon. Ang naintindihan ko lang doon yung yung sa pagdating ng ikapitong year, ipahinga mo yung field mo, yung bukid mo. Tapos kung iisipin mo wala kang makain, doon sa ika-anim, masyado kang maraming aanihin doon, kaya good for 3 years. So mag-ipon ka. Yun lang ang medyo pumasok sa utak ko. Pero yung pagbibenta, medyo naguluhan ako doon. Pero ang alam ko nga, kamag-anak lang ang pwedeng sumalo. Mark 1 verse ano tayo? Mark 1 verse nawala talaga. Ito lang pala tandaan. Binasa ko to kahapon 23:45. Ayun. Ang ano talaga ng mata ko, guys. Ang labo talaga ng mata ko. Anong nangyari? Nakasalamin na nga. Baka hindi na yung salamin ko. Ang bilis naman. Wala pa yatang 6 na buwan. Kakabasa Sinisi yung Bible. Ang liliit kasi talaga, guys. Promise. Para sa akin. Just then a man. So, sa verse 22 na tayo. 45 hanggang 45 pala. Nilagi, hindi ko yata nalagyan ng tanda. Ay, yung tiyan ko, gumana na naman. Narinig niya. Ganyan lang yan. Uminom kasi tayo tubig. Ganyan pagka umiinom ng tubig. Natural lang yan, guys. Basa. At malapit na mag 30 minutes. Kahit anong gawin natin, ayaw eh. May isang chapter nga lang yan. Pero parang haba nga kasi. Just then, sa verse 23, Mark 1, verse 23 to 45 tayo, guys. Just then, a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an evil spirit cried out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know you are the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," said Jesus sternly. "Come out of him." The evil spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. The people were all so amazed that they asked each other, "What is this? A new teaching, and with authority. He even gives orders to evil spirits, and they obey him." News about him spread quickly over the whole region of Galilee. Jesus heals Peter's mother-in-law and many others. As soon as they left the synagogue, they went to James and John at inulit na naman to. To the home of Simon and Andrew, Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told Jesus about her. So he went to her, took her hand, and helped her up. The fever left her, and she began to wait on them. That evening, after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demons possessed. Ba't ganun? Inulit mo ang Matthew. Parang ano lang doon, mga prophets sa Old Testament, puro Israelites ang tinatakal. Ito naman, pabalik-balik. Di ba nabasa na nga natin ito na nagdala ng mga may sakit? Ganun din yata ang New Testament. Kung sa Old Testament, puro Israelite. Dito naman, puro Jesus siguro. Baka mga ano to sila, mga writer ba, sabay-sabay. Kailang ano naman masyado. That evening after sunset, the people brought to Jesus all the sick and demon possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Jesus preached throughout Galilee. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off a solitary place, where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." So he traveled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. Jesus heals a man with leprosy. Ito rin, nabasa na rin natin to. A man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." While with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Samantalang itong, naalala nyo kay Moses dati. Nung pinapapasok sa kanyang bulsa niya yung kanyang kamay, tapos pag niya, nagiging, like leprosy na siya. Tapos babalik ulit. Galing na. Ganun siya kay Father God. Lived and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once. Yung buhay ni Jesus, tsaka buhay ni ni Moses, parang may similarity. Nung baby Jesus pa siya, hinahabol din siya ng, di ba papatayin din ang mga bata noon. Kaya sila naglakbay. Tapos yung three kings hindi na bumalik kay King Herod. Tapos si Moses naman, di ba siya nilagay siya sa basket? Yung baby pa si Moses, nilagay siya sa basket tapos pinaanod. Tapos napulot siya nung princess. Parang magkapareho yung nila. Parang yung time ni Jesus, mga pinapatay yung mga baby rin. Tapos yung time naman ni Moses, pinapatay rin ang mga baby. Hindi kaya magkasabay sila? Ang tanong ko lang yun. Kasi yung mga baby pa sila, mga ganun ang patakaran nun. A few years later, few days later, chapter 2 naman ako. Dito tayo muna. Jesus heals man with leprosy. Hindi, na ko lang guys, na-compare ko lang. Kasi diba nung pinag-aralan na, yung nababasa natin, yung baby pa si Moses. Tapos, yung kwento rin ni baby Jesus dati, diba? A man with leprosy came to him and begged him. Ang gusto kong malaman kung ano yung buhay nila nung teenager sila. Kasi ito mga adults na sila ito eh. Siyempre pag lumaki yung baby, o anong buhay nila nung mga time na yun, diba? Yun ang gusto ko talagang malaman sa story. Kasi parang tumalon na siya agad sa pagkaano eh. After nung baby, nung pinanganak siya, ang maulit nating mabasa ito na. Yung nagpapagaling na siya. Pero nung buhay teenager, wala, hindi nakasulat. A man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Filled with compassion, Jesus raised his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately the leprosy, kasi nasa pananampalataya mo yan guys eh. Paano ka gagaling? Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. "See that you don't tell this to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded." Oo, ito yun. No? Kasi yung may mga, guys, kailangan yung priest ang kaya nga malaki ang katungkulan ng priest eh. Di ba pinapadala pa sila ng mga alay, ram, bull, ox, goat, yung mga ganun, depende kung ano yung kasalanan mo. Ayan, kahit si Jesus, nakalagay, Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning. "See that you don't tell this anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing." Yes, as a testimony to them. Instead, he went out and began to talk freely. Kasi ang command talaga ni Father God doon kay Moses at kay Aaron, magdala ng offering. So dito rin inano rin ni Jesus ulit to, sinabi ulit ni Jesus. Instead, he went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. Matigas ulo nung leprosy. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter town openly but stayed outside in a lonely place. Yet the people still came to him from everywhere. So hindi niya sinunod na mag-offer ng sacrifices. Hindi sinunod nung leprosy. Ayun na guys, hanggang doon lang. Bye everyone. God bless.